I honestly think people need to accept that Taya is one of the strongest duelists to ever exist in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Hey everybody, and welcome back to more of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dynasty series Battle City Deck Profiles. It's me, Cooper, and today we're going to be talking about Taya Gardner. Taya Gardner is an interesting case because I needed to give her cards from the weird arc where they're in the computer, because she did not really duel in Battle City, she was more on the sidelines. So her deck is made up from cards from Duelist Kingdom, the weird card arc in that time period, and basically any card she's ever summoned in her entire life, or used in her entire life. So that's basically how I built her deck and how I put her deck together. Let's go ahead and get into her ace monster. Her ace monster is the Dark Magician Girl, a card given to her by Yugi. Yes, the Dark Magician Girl is her ace monster. At 2000 attack, it doesn't seem that strong, but because Taya uses an equip spell deck, extremely heavy equip spell deck, the Dark Magician Girl actually can be extremely powerful. And because it's a spellcaster, it works with a lot of the cards that she uses. So, let's go ahead and get into her rare cards list. Now, Taya's rarest cards that she is using in this tournament are the Sage's Stone and the Mirror Force. That is right. I have decided that Taya and Taya alone will be allowed to use one Mirror Force. That is the only character that gets it. I don't care if I sound biased. She deserves it. She's a damn good duelist. So let's go ahead. I don't need to tell you about Mirror Force. It destroys all of your opponent's all of your opponent's attack position monsters if one of them attacks you. You basically get it. Everyone knows what Mirror Force is. Let's talk about Sage's Stone. What Sage's Stone does is if you control a face-up Dark Magician Girl, you get to special summon one Dark Magician from your hand or deck, or a deck of man near you, because that's how it worked in the show. So basically, I had to give her a Dark Magician. Now, the reason that's not her boss monster is because Dark Magician Girl actually is her boss monster, and Sage's Stone is used to draw out Dark Magician from Yugi's deck in her duel against Crump. But it's okay. I just decided to add one to her deck because I can't do weird anime logic. I can't stand next to her with a Dark Magician in my deck and throw it at her. So, basically, she's going to run one Dark Magician in her deck, which is not bad. Having the combo is really freaking helpful. Having Dark Magician Girl is really freaking helpful. She is going to be extremely powerful. Having a Dark Magician is super good. I think she's going to have a fun time in this tournament. So, those are her rare cards. Let's go ahead and get into her stats. Her attack stat is incredible. Things are changing for her since Battle City, because even though her general average is lower, she does have better equipped spells now. So these are the average attack of her monsters. Dark Magician Girl 2000, Dark Magician 25, Dark Witch 18, Ancient Elf 1450. Blah. Her best monster that we have to talk about, because she still has a bunch of very bad ones from the past, is the Maha Valo. This card has 1550 attack, which is below the average, but for every equipped card equipped to this card, they gain 500 attack. That is correct. In a deck that runs a shit ton of equipped spells, she has a monster that can use almost all of those equipped spells and gets an extra 500 buff from each one. I won an entire tournament, the first season of Rivals Edition of Yu-Gi-Oh! I think we called it the beginning of... no, what was that one called? The Stairway to the Destined Duel or something? It was basically... yeah, it's Stairway to the Destined Duel, I believe. It was the first time I played with my friends. I won the tournament with a Maha Valo equipped spell deck. It was that busted. Literally, Maha Valo is unstoppable when it comes to attack points. So that is why Taya has blown up in attack points. She has gone from being extremely weak to extremely strong. And that's not to say she doesn't have weak monsters still. She still has Fairy's Gift, Shining Friendship, Ancient Elf, and a bunch of other weak monsters that shouldn't be here, like Fire Sorceress, or For Sorcerer, Hourglass of Courage, Skelangel, you know. Magician of Faith is still here, luckily. So, yeah, her attack stat, amazing thanks to Maha Valo, Dark Magician, and Dark Magician Girl. Moving on to her defense stat, it's actually a little bit better because I've given her a gift. I believe Taya deserved a gift, and that gift is Spirit of the Harp, a 2000 defense point fairy monster. And that card is buffed her defense about to the average because the rest of her monsters are terrible when it comes to defense stat. Literally, every other monster except for Fire Sorcerer, which has 1500 defense, is below the average of 1500. It's really sad to look at. So, Spirit of the Harp got her to the average thanks to me. That was just a nice gift from me. I thought Taya deserved something nice after last tournament where she was able to take down Kaiba once with the terrible deck that she had in Duelist Kingdom. So, moving on to her speed stat. It is average, surprisingly average. And the reason that it's average is because I let her keep that Shining Angel, because Skelangel gives her draw potential, and because Sage of Stone, her rare card, literally gets a special summon of Dark Magician. I know it's a hard thing to pull off, but it's still a special summon, so I gotta give it to her. Mirror Force also just clears the whole field, so that also attributed to her defense stat, but since it clears the field, it could also count for the speed stat in a way. And that's pretty crazy. So yeah, her stat is just like that. Nothing too bad, nothing too terrible. It's honestly pretty good. Magician of Faith lets her search from the graveyard, so that's also a searching card. That's really good. Yeah, overall, average speed, nothing wrong with it. So let's go ahead and move on to her skill stat. I'm sorry, it was going to fall apart eventually. She's got to win by attack. I'm sorry, there is no other option for her. She has to win by attack. She is not tactical. Funny enough, Taya is all about beating you up. She will play a female monster most likely, and she will give it a bunch of equip spells. So she will make a Shining Friendship, a Fairy's Gift, an Ancient Elf, a Maha Valo look like a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon by the end of it, because she'll give it like 5 equip spells and you will shit yourself. I'm not even joking, you will. It's terrifying. So if Taya ends up in this tournament, she is not going to win by burn. She is not going to win by deck out. She's not going to win by stall. She doesn't have any win conditions. I guess the only skill-based card she has in her deck is called the Magic Formula, which can heal her by 1,000 life points if it gets destroyed. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I'm sorry. No joke. That's it. She doesn't have much to talk about there. When it comes to skill, that's not her deal. Her deal is more about attack and equip spells. So let's go ahead and move on to her brick stat, which is almost unbreakable. She's rarely bricks. The reason she's rarely bricks is I gave her multiple Dark Magician Girls to make sure she can actually summon it. She has Sage of Stone, which is a brick card unless she actually gets a Dark Magician Girl on the field. Some of her equip spells, like Magic Formula, only work on Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girls, so they're kind of bricky unless you happen to have those monsters on the field. Some of her equip spells don't work with certain monsters, like how she has the Fairy Bow, which doesn't work with spellcasters, and she has the Elf's Light, which doesn't work with dark monsters, the Bright Castle, or Shine Castle, which doesn't work with dark monsters. She has Book of Secret Arts, which doesn't work with fairy monsters, so she does have some equip spells that don't synergize, and that could brick up her deck a little bit, but most of the time she has too much potential in other places for that to matter. And she still has Wabaku from last season, so don't worry, she still gets to keep that. It'll help her out quite a bit, give her a turn to stall. So overall, Taya is looking pretty freaking stylish here. I think her new deck is 10 times better than her old one. And for that, we're going to move on to her potential, and her potential is average. I think she could win the tournament. I'm not even joking. I think she can win the tournament. Only because of equip spells. That is the only reason. So obviously, if you have an opponent that has skill, that stalls, that burns, that deck outs, you could totally lose to that opponent. But if you're trying to find an opponent that is trying to overpower you, Taya is probably one of the few people that has a potential of overpowering your opponent. I couldn't max out her attack stat despite her Maha Valo's busted effect, because it's only a potential of being stronger than your opponent. It's not a guarantee. Overall, she's just going to be equip spelling up everybody she gets. So anyone that gets Taya, and I wouldn't even mind getting Taya this season, is just going to need to focus on equip spells, tribute monsters, because you need a Dark Magician Girl. She's going to be really helpful, especially if you can pull that Magic Formula. And she does have one other tactical card called the Offering to the Doom, and what that does is you target one face-up monster on the field and you destroy it. So it's her tribute to the Doom, but you have to skip your next draw phase, so it's worse than tribute to the Doom. Either way, very good cards. Honestly, she is super solid. I think Taya has a chance of winning the tournament, but it's not the biggest chance. She's just average. I think people with 3 stars and up will definitely have a better odds than her. So, that's going to be it. Thank you all for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe.